Another month, another lore compilation. And hi, Ken! I see you watched my video on your book. Glad you liked it. Don't really agree with some of your counterpoints. My experience with the price I paid for my Marvel omnibuses is different from yours, and I also don't think we should arbitrarily decide an aspect of an art piece isn't worth preserving because you think it looks bad. If the only reason to preserve an art piece is because we think it looks good, and not because there's intrinsic value in the fact that a human being put work into something, there's a lot of people who wouldn't want your work preserved. So I don't think you're being entirely fair to Barry Grossman, Nancy Setskis, or Lyrad Namlede by erasing their work. Will they be getting a cut of the royalties, by the way? This isn't a gotcha, because I do think it's a very good thing you're doing in making sure most everyone involved with the stories you're reprinting is getting paid in some form, but will you still be paying them despite the fact their work is being erased? After all, I think the colorist plays a pretty integral part in the creation of a comic, and these three's contributions are foundational to the beginnings of Archie Sonic. And if you disagree with that, you shouldn't be having the book recolored, you should instead be releasing it in black and white. Outside of that, I don't really have much to say this time around. I know I normally post my compilation video at the beginning of the month, but I was traveling, still managed to keep up with my daily shorts though. This video will be a compilation of all of my shorts from February of 2025. Hope y'all enjoy. This is when Eclipse fought Team Dark. While Shadow and Knuckles were throwing down in issue 69 of Sonic Universe, Eclipse returns to the Shrine of the Master Emerald to steal the gem. Omega is the first to engage Shadow's kin, calling dibs. Unfortunately, once Eclipse activates the Dark Arm's armor power, he's left completely invulnerable to Omega's firearm and claws. The alien then punches through Omega, ripping out his power core. He then goes after Rouge, switching to his wing power-up, knocking her out of the sky and dislocating her shoulder, before interrogating the group for a way to get off the island. On his way out, for good measure, he blows up Snively's communication screen and steals the Master Emerald. This is when Amy Rose officially became a freedom fighter. Amy had wanted to join the freedom fighters for quite some time, but was repeatedly denied due to her age and inexperience. Even after her magical growth spurt, let's not worry about that right now, she's still not taken completely seriously. Despite this, in issue 132, she joins in on a mission to defend Fort Acorn, during which she takes on waves of Eggman's forces by herself. In fact, according to Knuckles, she managed to take out half of the attacking robots. For her bravery, Sally ends up awarding her the Acorn Medal of Valor, and offers her an official spot on the Freedom Fighters, which she gleefully accepts. Amadeus and Rosemary Prower are characters in the Archie comics and are the parents to Tails. The second in command of the Royal Guard, Amadeus would discover Robotnik's true intentions with the roboticizer, but before he could report his findings, he would be roboticized as well. Unfortunately, this event coincided with Tails' birth, with his perceived disinterest in the newborn greatly upsetting Rosemary. However, before Rosemary could suffer the same fate during Robotnik's conquest, the couple would be rescued by an alien species known as the Bem, who also took the opportunity to de-roboticize Amadeus, and there the two would stay for quite some time, only being able to communicate with their son through a message Sonic hand-delivered, until Tails' wizard Uncle Merlin, don't worry about it, used his magic to bring them home. The two's return was not completely happy though, as they grew frustrated with the governing forces of the Kingdom of Acorn, which led Amadeus to lead a mass protest, subsequently landing him in prison. Tails and Rosemary would break him out, leading to a conflict with Elias Acorn, but thanks to Sally's mediation, the two were able to work out an agreement for a new system of government, leading to the creation of the Council of Acorn, which would have its own problems later. Outside of the Archie comics, in the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog episode, Tails' New Home, Robotnik does have two horrifying puppets masquerade as Tails' parents. This is Rouge Tangle's Team-Up. In the 2020 IDW Sonic Annual, after Ruff and Tumble split up over an argument just before a planned Chaos Emerald heist, the two still go through with their plans separately, with Ruff having recruited Tangle and Tumble having recruited Rouge. Rouge had already wanted to take the Chaos Emerald, while Tangle was more here to keep an eye on Ruff. After pitting the skunks against each other, the two decide they might as well work together to apprehend them. Just as the two thieves make up and reform their partnership, Rouge and Tangle mock their introduction and the Lemur knocks the two out. And while tying up the two, Rouge makes off with the emerald, much to Tangle's disappointment. This is the time Eggman controlled Sonic. In the 2007 Free Comic Book Day special, Eggman finally succeeds in capturing his nemesis. While Sonic boasts that he won't be captured for long, the Doctor sticks a control device in the Hedgehog's ear. Meanwhile, the Freedom Fighters begin to organize a rescue mission, only for Sonic to immediately show up. While they are initially thrilled to see him, that doesn't last long as he begins to take them all out before announcing he's heading for the King next. Thankfully, while Eggman has control over Sonic's body, he has no control over him talking, giving the hero some means of resistance. The Chaotix try to stop Sonic next, but with similar results. Knuckles then shows up, having previously been called by Sally for help. Sonic's able to tell Knuckles about the mind control device, giving Knuckles the idea to hit him really hard to break it, which Sonic thinks is a bad plan. He doesn't have much say in this once Tails hits him and Knuckles lands a good shot, which does succeed in breaking the device. Eggman shows up with Metal afterwards, but Team Sonic makes short work of the robot, leading Eggman to retreat. This is Crystal Sonic. When Eggman and Metal Sonic investigate an attack on one of his facilities, the two discover Eggman's forces have been crystallized, leading Eggman to realize that the saboteurs are the Naugus twins. While Metal and the Doctor manage to make short work of their minions, when the twins actually show up, the battle turns firmly in their favor, with Metal being trapped in Crystal and the Doctor having to make a strategic retreat. When the Doctor later returns to take back the base with his egg bosses, the twins reveal they've transformed the Doctor's prized creation into their own minion, dubbing him Crystal Sonic. The Doctor is furious at the magic user stealing Metal Sonic from him and can only flee from his attacks. While Crystal Sonic manages to destroy the Doctor's vehicle, Eggman is able to activate his hard light armor, swatting away the turncoat Badnik, and proving to be more than a match for Walter Naugus. The Doctor almost manages to end Naugus for good, before Crystal Sonic gets in the way, the blast managing to free Metal Sonic from the crystalline control. This is Sonic's Fantastic Four. In issue 38 of the Archie Sonic comics, when Sonic is stuck home sick in bed, Tails decides to entertain Sonic with some comics he's written, whether he likes it or not. The comic he starts with is Freedom Fighters, a clear reference to the Fantastic Four, with its cover even homaging Fantastic Four number 3. The story sees Robotnicus arrive on Mobius, only for his plans to devour the world to be foiled by the group offering him the sponge cake snack Twinkles, which is an actual reference to the proper Galactus. A Robotnik Galactus would return in issue 104, this time as Robolactus, accompanied by his herald, the Silver Snively, who also both make a cameo in Sonic Universe number 31. The Fleetway comics also offer a handful of tributes to the Fantastic Four, such as the villains known as the Fundamental Four, and Amy clearly being a fan of the Super Team. This is Blaze's comic debut. Blaze makes her first comic book appearance in issue 160, in a story very lightly inspired by Sonic Rush. The princess arrives in Sonic's dimension after being plagued by prophetic dreams of the Blue Hedgehog, that he would be the key in keeping the Soul Emerald safe, frustrating her as the emeralds are her responsibility. A group of swap bots happen upon her, and while she takes out a good number of them, she's eventually overwhelmed by their number and captured. Sonic's informed of the stranger's capture and decides to go on a rescue mission. Blaze awakens and is able to escape on her own just as Sonic arrives. The two end up mistaking each other for enemies and begin to fight, with the princess's serious demeanor melting away as she begins to actually enjoy herself. Sonic eventually realizes if he deprives her flames of oxygen, he can end the fight. When he does so, he's finally able to introduce himself, while Blaze cryptically says that she's the one who will haunt his dreams just as he did hers, and that they'll meet again when she needs him, before returning to her own dimension. This is when Knuckles fought Amy. In issue 270 of the Archie Sonic comics, during the Chaos Emerald Championship, Knuckles and Amy are scheduled to face off with one another. The Pink Hedgehog seems pretty certain in her ability to take down her opponent, already mentally preparing for the finals against Sonic. But then she starts to think too much about the finals, and worries about hurting Sonic. She's so lost in thought, she doesn't see Knuckles coming right for her. He crashes into the ground, sending her flying out of the ring and crashing directly into the audience. Sonic seems a little peeved at this, to which Knuckles responds, I thought we were fighting. Amy is sent to the infirmary for her troubles, but reassures Sonic that the only thing hurt is her pride, and that he needs to beat Knuckles for her. This is when Cream rescued the Freedom Fighters. In issue 266 of the Archie Sonic comics, the Freedom Fighters discover that Eggman's army had recently recovered the Blue Chaos Emerald. Sally suspects it's a trap, but puts it to a vote as to who wants to risk it anyway, which ends up being unanimous. Sally, Bunny, and Antoine will be the ones to go in to get the emerald, with Tails, Amy, and Rotor acting as backup. Cream asks what she, Cheese, and Big are supposed to do, to which Sally responds that while Cream has come a long way, the rabbit needs more training before Sally feels comfortable letting her do something this risky. Unfortunately, Sally's suspicions end up being correct, and even when their backup comes in to help, they're completely outmatched. Cream, seeing this all happen, swiftly plots a rescue mission with her and Big getting the Freedom Fighters out of danger, while Cheese, Omochao, and Teapup distract the robots. And while they are a little bruised, everyone still makes it out in one piece. Silver Sonic version 2, or Mecha Sonic Mark III, is yet another mechanical duplicate of Sonic. Making its sole in-game appearance in Sonic Adventure, it is found in a tube in Eggman's base in the Mystic Ruins, but is never properly awakened. Much like the other Silver Sonic we covered, this robot has a handful of design elements inspired by Mechagodzilla. While extremely underutilized in the games, this Eggman creation has a handful of appearances in the comics. In issue 85, after the events of Archie's Adventure adaptation, Eggman sends Silver Sonic 2 to attack Station Square during a farewell celebration for the Freedom Fighters. Though definitely a difficult battle, Sonic is eventually able to defeat it, and it is subsequently reprogrammed by Nate Morgan to become the guard robot of Station Square, and there it would stay until Archie's Adventure 2 prequel comic, where Shadow destroyed it after stealing a Chaos Emerald, funnily enough tying into the destroyed guard robots mentioned in this cutscene in Adventure 2.
Sounds more like the work of Shadow!
And most recently, this robot made a background cameo in the pages of Sonic Winter Jam amidst Eggman's clutter. So from that, I'd assume Eggman doesn't have any plans to use him in the near future. This is when Silver teamed up with Rotor. After coming across information that one of the founding members of the Freedom Fighters was named Boomer, not Rotor, Silver believes that the Walrus is the traitor to the Freedom Fighters that he's looking for, and goes to confront him. The two end up fighting for a short time before Rotor is able to explain that his people are being mind-controlled by Robotnik. Knowing that lives are at risk, Silver agrees to help free them. The two manage to break into Robotnik's control tower, where they find a device that can directly mind-control the herd. Rotor reasons that since Silver's psychic, he can easily use it to free the herd. The Hedgehog is apprehensive, saying he's more telekinetic than telepathic, but agrees to try anyway and succeeds, though it leaves him with a killer headache. Eventually, it's explained to him that Boomer was just Rotor's childhood nickname, ruling out Rotor as the traitor. Rocket Metal is an alternate form of Metal Sonic. Making its sole game appearance in the opening moments of Sonic the Fighters, the robot isn't seen anywhere else in the game as released, as the normal Metal Sonic is who you end up doing battle with aboard the Death Egg in the arcade mode. Likewise, in the Archie Sonic comics, in their arc inspired by Sonic the Fighters, Metal appears, but Rocket Metal does not, though this form does get an off-panel comic dedicated to it, showing that the Doctor did try to use this form, but its head was a bit too heavy. Silver and Blaze have been paired together for quite some time, with the fandom shipping them ever since their first appearance together. It's to the point that some characters in-universe ship them. In the off-panel comic of Sonic Universe number 58, Marine writes a short story that imagines Blaze as being engaged to a pirate version of Silver, which Blaze does not appreciate, though Amy seems to like the idea of them together as well. Way later, in issue 64 of the IDW Sonic comics, Sonic says that he thinks they're great together. He clarifies that he just means them as a duo, but the comment does end up flustering the both of them. Now, whether or not any other characters think the same, I guess we'll just have to see in the future. This is when Omega faced off with a Robota-sized Sally. In issue 38 of Sonic Universe, while pursuing Snively, Eggman unleashes an attack on Central City. With Shadow and Rouge escorting the president to safety, Omega is left as the only member of Team Dark defending the city. While initially enjoying getting to destroy Eggman's creations, when Eggman throws a group of legionized gun soldiers at him, he hesitates, knowing they aren't in control of their actions. No sooner than he finds a way to deal with them is he attacked by the roboticized Princess Sally. He recognizes her and comments that as she's the leader of the most productive freedom fighter team, she should be rescued. Eggman retorts that he's made sure that she can't be, to which the robot ponders if it would be kinder to destroy her then. Before he has a chance, both Sally and Metal attack him from both sides. When Snively retreats, Eggman pulls back his forces, saying he can take over this city anytime, though Omega seems disappointed. And of course in the IDW comics, Omega doesn't seem to hesitate anymore. This is when Scourge introduced himself. Shortly after gaining his new shade and taking down Knuckles' dad, Scourge goes to confront his heroic counterpart. When he arrives at Freedom Fighters HQ, he reintroduces himself as Scourge rather than Evil Sonic, but finds Sonic and Shadow are already in conflict with one of Eggman's badniks. The three hedgehogs decide to briefly team up and actually make short work of the robot. No sooner than its defeat, however, does Scourge decide to go back to attacking Sonic. Shadow, who'd never met Scourge before, attempts to ask him a question, only to get flipped. The two begin to fight, with Sonic rejoining the fray to take down the viridescent hedgehog. Scourge can barely keep up with the two of them, and when the rest of the freedom fighters get involved, he and Rouge decide to make a strategic retreat. While Sonic is fine with letting them go, Shadow continues to pursue them, though he loses track of them when they escape through a warp ring. So Eggman's been given brothers a few times. In the Archie comics, Colin Kentobor was Snively and Hope's father, and also fought on the front lines during the war between the Mobians and the Overlanders. And like most of the Overlanders, went off-planet after the war, eventually returning and reuniting with his son and brother, only for him to be roboticized and meeting his demise shortly after. In Sonic Boom, the episode Eggman's Brother features Morpho, a shape-shifting robot created by an Eggman of a different dimension, who at first masquerades as Eggman's brother. While they make it incredibly explicit that he's not Eggman's brother with gags that only people familiar with the mandates would find funny, the narratives still treat them like siblings, so I'm counting it. Finally, the initial pitch for Sonic Underground was to feature Robotnik's evil twin brother, or I guess eviler twin brother in this case, Grotti, who would have been a skinnier Robotnik. This character has no official concept art, but there are a handful of fan designs out there. This is when Styx faced off with Roll. During the second Archie Sonic Mega Man crossover, Roll receives a note from Styx to meet her in the training simulator. When she enters though, the door shuts behind her and Styx seemingly accuses her of being a traitor, and unleashes a barrage of attacks on her. Roll protests that it's a misunderstanding, but Styx doesn't want to listen. Roll eventually gets fed up and demands to know where Styx is hiding, only for the conspiracy theorist to appear behind her and hit her with an explosive. Just when it looks like Roll has been beaten, it's revealed that Styx was actually going after her broom, convinced it's working with Sigma. Roll is about to explain that it's just a broom, but decides to spare the Badger's feelings by instead saying that it's a double agent and is actually helping them spy on Sigma. This is the time Eggman had a sugar rush. In issue 35 of Archie's Sonic X comics, Station Square has been repeatedly plundered by a man wearing several different costumes. Vector thinks it's multiple identical robbers, Espio thinks it's one career counselor, and Charmy thinks it's Eggman. Sonic goes to confront the Doctor, and on the way to his base, runs into a Viking Eggman, a pirate Eggman, and a ninja Eggman. Once Sonic makes it inside the base, Eggman's minions explain that he is in the midst of an extreme sugar rush, which they calculate will burn off in 2 days. Sonic says he has a better plan and convinces Eggman to rapidly switch costumes, causing him to burn off all his energy until he eventually collapses. Just as he does so, the Chaotix arrive, Vector commenting that since it looks like Eggman's been fighting Sonic all day, there's no way that he could have been the one terrorizing the city. This is the beginning of Team Fighters. In issue 236 of the Archie Sonic comics, in the wake of Sally's robotization, Naugus taking over the kingdom, Antoine being put into a coma, and all types of other bad stuff, Sonic's stuck in a very deep funk. When Amy and Tails show up asking what they should do, Sonic replies that there's nothing to do, they've been beaten, which Sonic's friends aren't about to listen to. They say they learned to be freedom fighters from him, and that no matter how bleak things have gotten, they've never given up before, which is exactly the type of thing Sonic needed to hear. Rotor then arrives to let them know that the council had just voted to expel Nicole from their computer systems. Rather than let one more problem get them down, Sonic and Rotor pitch two teams to the council: Team Freedom, led by Rotor, and Team Fighters, led by Sonic, with Amy and Tails, which is approved. Later, when Eggman is attacking the city of Furville, the trio arrive and succeed in both motivating its people to fight and drive off Eggman. This is when Cream got angry. During IDW's Metal Virus arc, Cream and Gemerl go to confront Xena to get her Chaos Emerald. However, when they arrive, the Zeddy immediately attempts to take control of the robot, and while Cream's pleas eventually get through to him, he can't stop Xena from manually controlling him. In response, Cream spin dashes Xena, who's surprised she hit her. The rabbit finally breaks down that she hates fighting, she hates seeing her friends hurt and scared, and she hates how mean Xena is. Xena, in response, tosses Gemerl into a group of Zombots and is about to do the same to Cream, before the robot breaks free and saves her. Working together, the two manage to take Xena's Chaos Emerald and throw her to the Zombots. Unfortunately, in the battle, Cream did end up getting infected. Not wanting to get anyone else hurt, she urges the robot to go on without her. Instead, he tosses the emerald back through the portal they came from and flies away with her, saying that he'll stay with her until she's better. Amy and Bark the Polar Bear are good friends. In IDW's Sonic 30th Anniversary comic, while Amy is emerald hunting with Mighty and Ray, the group's efforts are interrupted by the hooligans. Mighty asks Amy who they are, to which she responds that they're occasional Eggman henchmen who act cruel, except for Bark, who she just thinks hangs out with the wrong crowd. Amy attempts to fight Bark, only for him to take her out of the battle as non-violently as possible. After Metal Knuckles steals the Chaos Emerald though, the groups all end up working together. And while traversing the Winter Cavern Zone, Bark lends Amy his scarf, causing her to remark that he's just a sweetie deep down, flustering the mute hooligan. Later, in Amy's 30th anniversary special, when she is left as one of the few not captured by Metal Sonic, Bark is one of the first she manages to rescue, and he quickly agrees to help her and Ray save everyone else. And he even ends up going one-on-one with Metal Sonic to protect the two. This is when Knuckles and Mighty track down the Master Emerald. In issue 282 of the Archie Sonic comics, after it's discovered that Thunderbolt the Chinchilla had collected shards of the Master Emerald, Knuckles and Amy team up with Mighty and Ray to take them back. Knuckles and Mighty easily fight their way through the base and get to the shards before being confronted by the Egg Boss. While Knuckles fights her, Mighty picks up the shards and launches them clear out of the base, landing at the home of his mentor, Moss the Sloth. Thunderbolt calls in more of her henchmen, greatly outnumbering the duo, only for Amy to enter the base's control room, incapacitating a number of the soldiers and sabotaging their badniks, giving them all the opportunity to escape. So for an extended period of time in the Archie comics, its Eggman is completely robotic, his consciousness stored in a backup body, which he further modifies to allow him to roboticize people by merely touching them. This also allows him to survive events that would otherwise be fatal, as when his previous body was destroyed, this allows him to simply swap his consciousness to a new body. Now this does end up contradicting what had previously been stated, that individuals who had been modified after being roboticized could not have the process reversed, as he was returned to an organic form by the BEM. Now I have two theories as to why this was able to happen. The first is that due to him being completely robotic rather than partially robotic like other characters, the BEM were able to properly convert his parts to organic parts, as they didn't need to compensate for any existing components. The second theory is that the writers forgot the specifics of what they had set up, and just hoped no one asked why Bunny was still partially roboticized. Honestly, I wouldn't even consider that a failure, that's just the thing that happens when comics run for more than 100 issues. These are the times Gemerl fought Metal Sonic. First, in Archie Sonic 284, Eggman sends in the Hooligans, Metal Sonic, and the Witch Carters to steal the Gaia keys from Castle Acorn. However, when they attempt to rush the building, they are immediately stopped in their tracks by Gemerl. Unfortunately, Metal takes him to fight one-on-one, and Gemerl struggles not only facing off with the duplicate Sonic, but a fleet of badniks as well. After the hooligans obtain the keys, Metal takes them to Eggman, while the rest of Eggman's lackeys keep the robot from following. The two have more limited interactions in the IDW comics, but at the tail end of the Metal Virus arc, Metal gets the jump on the friendly robot, ramming his claw directly through his chest. Not destroying him, but definitely ending the fight before it began. This is Nixus. During the Sonic Universe arc Shattered, while Knuckles, Amy, and Team Dark are searching for the final pieces of the Master Emerald, Shadow and Knuckles come across a purple echidna in the mine, who introduces himself as Nixus. Knuckles is in disbelief as he thought he was the last of the echidna, and Shadow is equally suspicious. After the purple echidna reveals that he's been searching for a way back to Angel Island his whole life, and that he found the remaining pieces of the Master Emerald, Shadow remains unconvinced, but Knuckles thinks they've finally gotten lucky. The reunion is interrupted by a call from Rouge, that she and Amy are under attack. Shadow goes immediately to assist the two, while the duo of Echidna go to restore the Master Emerald. However, when they arrive at the spot, Knuckles is encased in crystal, and Nixus reveals himself to actually be the wizard Walter Naugus, intent on using the Emerald's power to restore his magic. This is when Robotnik stole Sonic's speed. In issue 39 of Fleetway's Sonic the Comic, Robotnik, joined by his assistant Grimer, hits Sonic with a laser that removes Sonic's powers and transfers them to Robotnik. Sonic proves to be no match for the Doctor with both of them in this state, but Robotnik lets him go so everyone can see what happened to him. When Robotnik heads to attack Emerald Hill, Sonic confronts him again. Rather than destroy Sonic himself, the Doctor orders his Badniks to do it, only for him to be attacked instead, their sensors detecting him to be Sonic. In order to stop their attack, Grimer hits Robotnik with a laser, depowering him, but also returning Sonic's speed. Before they can use the device again, Sonic swipes it and smashes it on the ground, before warning the duo if they ever mess with his powers again, he'll forget that he's supposed to be the good guy. Cream and Omega have had an interesting dynamic over the years. First interacting in Archie Sonic's Treasure Team Tango arc, the two first meet when Team Dark and Team Rose are in conflict over the Soul Emeralds. At first, she's clearly frightened of him, though the robot shows concern when she begins to cry, and the two very clearly end up taking a liking to one another. Their dynamic changes quite a bit in IDW. After Omega is ripped apart and left as a head by the Zombots, Cream is the one who carries him around for a little bit, though how good of a companion he is debatable. After the plague passes, she is insistent about wanting to help rebuild the robot, though after he's repaired, he seems far from grateful for her contributions. However, in 2023, Sega posted a short comic by Issa Kim where Cream helps Omega apologize to the other members of Team Dark by teaching him to make flower crowns. This comic was referenced on one of the variant covers for IDW's 2024 annual, so maybe the robots warmed back up to her.
Thank you all so much for watching. A special thank you to my patrons, and a special shout out to my $5 patrons, Ned Rex, Nate DM990, Diddly Do, and Queer Kaiju. See y'all in the next video.